Welcome to Talk Theory. It's your host, Kiara Barnes, where I talk all things life, what makes us human, and what makes us superhuman. Sit back, relax, and join me for a chat. Hello, welcome back to another episode of Talk Theory. Thank you so much for listening, of course. Before we really get into anything, I just want to first off say thank you to anyone who watched and supported Fantasy Island. It really means a lot. It was such an amazing show to be a part of, and I'm just really grateful for what's to come next, So again, thank you for the support and love with the show and me, honestly, and my acting journey. It's meant so much to me, so I really, really appreciate it. It's actually what inspired this episode. This ending of Fantasy Island, it's been bringing up a lot for me, and the overall lesson is surrender. And it seems to be a constant, but that's part of human life, right? Is surrender. I don't know if we ever truly master surrender. When you think you've surrendered, you could probably honestly do a little more surrendering. There's so much that's out of our control, and the only thing that we can truly, truly control is our reaction to things. But everything else is really out of our hands in the way that, it happens or is set up. So what does it really mean to surrender? Now, my definition of surrender is releasing any and all resistance and believing that you are being guided in the right direction, that every step of the way you're being guided. Surrender it's not second guessing, it's not fear tripping, it's not being doomsday all day. It's looking towards the horizon of optimism, possibilities, with a lot of joy and love and happiness. So let's talk about the balance of this. How do we get to a point of true surrender, and then maybe some ways to help us feel that sense of relief much faster? The balance of this is surrendering isn't giving up your desire and the fact that you want something, right? It's giving up the need to control everything and control exactly how that desire or how that want comes in or how it happens. It's giving up the how and when, which, if we're being honest, that can be the part that most folks, that we as humans always have a little hiccup with, because, we can all wish for something, desire it, envision something. All of us can. But when we meet some resistance, where we end up meeting resistance is the whole trying to figure out how to get that thing. And quite simply, that thing that we desire, it really is all queued up and ready to go for us. But energetically, there becomes this divide, right? Where we block the receiving of it because of our obsessive need to know everything, which is coming from a place of protection, at the end of the day. Like, that's coming from a place of protection. Your fear and want to control is because you want to feel safe. And a lot of the time, we feel safe if we know what's going to happen. We know. But the whole idea of this is that you're leaning on knowing in the universe, not just yourself, but knowing in the fact that there's something bigger than you that brought you here. So that bigger thing could probably help you get to wherever you want to get to because it created you, you know? It's like having this awareness that it's not just you. You know, it's kind of like, let me see. Yeah, okay. It's kind of like when you're looking for something and you know that you placed it in one of 3 spots, but every time you go to check these spots, what you're looking for is never there. And, you know, you'll get to a point where you just go, okay, whatever. I'll either find it or I won't. I'll live. And you just go about your life. Well, later on, you might want to go grab something out of one of those 3 spots, forgetting about the whole search for whatever it was that you were looking for, and boom, you know, there it is in that drawer that you definitely looked in a billion times, but now it's right there. It's visually what it feels like too. It feels, I don't know if you guys ever did this, but in like, I think it was high school or middle school. It might have been high school. It was a class on drinking and drugs and all that. But they bring these beer goggles for you to see how certain limits of alcohol consumption and how it can really mess up your vision. And so you put these goggles on and you can't see anything. You can't, you know what I mean? And so the point is like, don't drink and drive. But it's kind of like that metaphorically, right? It's like you put these beer goggles on when you're in a state of stress, control, and negativity. That's what it feels like because you can't see much when you're that stressed out, when you're occupied by such negative, heavy thoughts. But when you take them off, you can see literally everything. And here's the thing. It's something I've recently been working on and will always continue because we are humans. We are humans. And a real part of being a human is that you feel things. You know, you feel things emotionally. And it's okay to feel bad. It's okay to feel sad, stressed, all of those things. I talked about it in last week's episode about the emotional scale. You know, we have to process as humans. We do have to process our emotions in order to get to the next wave of thought. Or whatever thought it is that you're thinking will be the continuous thought on replay. And, you know, that can be the issue with negative thoughts is they can stay on replay for much longer than actually needed. And that's where that feeling of the, you know, beer goggles or AKA maybe call them fear goggles. Okay. How about that? Is you can't see anything clearly. You know, how can you make the best choice? How can you know what to do next if you've got fear goggles on? It's really hard to see or decipher to know. But, you know, we have choice on this earth. We have the choice to feel good or feel bad. And sometimes you must make the choice of feeling bad to get to feel good. Suppressing your feelings and communicating and not communicating when you're feeling not energetically aligned, it can just harbor a lot of icky energy that you don't want to stick on to because it doesn't feel good. And here's the thing. More times than not, when you release whatever your worries or fears are, you actually get to hear them out loud for how ridiculous they sound. But oddly enough, right, in your head, they can seem very real. And why? Because that's your most dominant thought. So I say all of this to say, can you imagine if you continued to choose the positive thought every day? Anytime you got a thought that was based in fear, you chose love instead of fear. You choose to see through the lens of love. Love is all supporting, it's safe, it's relief, it's peace, but it is a decision that you make every day and multiple times a day. And it goes for everything. Relationships, work, seeing through love is a choice. And sometimes I'll get hard on myself and think, why am I having such a hard time with this or that? I've been studying manifesting and spirituality for so long, blah, blah, blah. But I just forget the basic fact that I am a human. If humans were perfect, there would be no real reason to come down to earth. Our imperfections, those are what create ideas, questions, and life. And fears or contrasts are things that lead us to have those questions, to have those wants and desires. And really, those contrast moments are just opportunities to fall into love, fall into trust, fall into the connection you have with universe, seeing how connected you are. And I mean, Fantasy Island, I'm not going to lie, coming to an end could totally take my mind in a million different places. But why not let that place be of one that's inspirational and fun to think about, optimistic and full of joy? I'm so, so grateful for Fantasy Island. I learned so much. That was my first prime time TV show, I had ever been on, and I was a lead. It was incredible. And we went not just for one season, but for 2 seasons. And that is such a huge blessing. And to have learned as much as I learned and to have had an incredible cast and crew, it was everything I needed to experience at that time. And it coming to an end isn't something to be fearful of. I truly believe everything is setting you up for the next new blossoming adventure of joy and opportunities. And I am so grateful to have experienced as much as I have in such a short amount of time. And now, I mean, look, I'm also not going to lie to you here. I did have my fearful thoughts creep in. I did. I had my cry and moment of upset. I felt it, and it was just fear. And I had to let it out. I asked for help. I asked God, the universe, to give me a flip in perspective that I could see this through love, right? And I immediately felt a sense of peace. And then started getting all these good thoughts of what I was just talking about. And that's what I mean of choosing in real time to flip to the other direction. And, it happened again the next morning. I went into a state of fear. And you can always feel when you're in a state of fear or resistance. And when you're in a complete state of surrender, right? You feel so at peace when you're surrendered. You aren't tense. You're not overthinking. You're just present, like very relaxed, because you're safe, you're protected. but it is something that I had to choose, right? And little by little, you'll realize it doesn't take you as long to surrender, or you don't have to course correct as much throughout your day when you did in the beginning, because you've made it a daily practice. So your thoughts are programmed to feel surrender more than resistance. And it's really just like going to the gym and working on those muscles. And then, you have those off days at the gym where you relax and make sure you're stretching and whatever else before you get back into the gym. That's exactly how it is, choosing all day, every day. And then some days you just have a day where you release, let go of your fears and doubts, whatever it is, and then reconnect to love, right? Now, let's talk about how we can train our brains. There are really obvious answers, but they do work, okay? I'm always going to say meditation, journaling, affirmations, prayer, positive music, reading self-help books, all of these things. Here's the thing, folks. You are reprogramming your brain. You are. You've gone through years and years and years of only thinking and seeing things through a very particular lens. So we are reprogramming. And you want as much positive stuff going on in your brain at all times. If you wanted to become fluent in a language or learn how to play a game or a sport, you wouldn't just want to, learn one thing for 4 minutes and then say, oh, yeah, I'm good to go. No. You'd actually dedicate time and attention to really learning all the things that you need to know in order to really immerse yourself into something and become it and have fun with it. So the more you're surrounding yourself with uplifting material, there's a much better chance that you will surrender way faster. Because again, that is your most dominant thought. Like that's your opting thought. Even when you get a fear thought, that is still your more optional thought. And I know that there's so many self-help books out there, but honestly, just look up on Google, right? Top 10 2023 self-help books. See what's among that list. Read the synopsis. See if that's for you, and then try it out. Try Audible as well. If you have a hard time like sitting down to read, then why not get it on Audible, right? Another thing is, I would even go on YouTube and watch like inspirational videos or talks. Like Oprah has some great ones, her interview segments and things like that. And I would watch them often just because they make you feel good and they confirm those thoughts in your head of positive affirmations. At the end of the day, this is all meant to be fun. So play, see what works for you. If you don't know how to meditate or how to get into that, get a meditation app. Be curious. Just be curious. Lean into the curiosity rather than the perfectionism of needing to get everything right and perfect. It's like that doesn't exist. So just be curious about it because you'll have hiccups. You won't always know what you're doing or where you're going or why did I randomly get the thought to go to the park today. Just trust yourself and go off of what feels good and what feels safe and appealing to you, right? Or calls you to do. Just be proactive about your life and feeling good. Take off the pressure. All right, take off the pressure. We're all learning. We're all trying our best. And that in itself is enough. You are exactly where you are meant to be. You are not late. You are right on time. And lastly, watch it all unfold. That's the best thing about fully surrendering. This is the fun part. That's the wild part, is that you forget like the surrendering is actually the fun part, because that's when all these like synchronicities start happening and you get that random call, or because you got that thought to go to the park, you ran into someone. That is like the best part. It's so fun. But we can only get there when we actually let go. And, you know, it's the best thing to fully surrender, because you get the joy of experiencing things coming together. And for you, it's a surprise in the sense that you don't know the when or how, but all these good things keep randomly happening. And you'll only always be rewarded for trusting the universe. You'll always be rewarded for trusting the universe, for leading with love in all your endeavors. You know, see through the lens of love. I mean, really, everything is well, and you are always led. You are always cared for. Always. So this episode, you know, was a reminder to just let go, surrender. You will be so much better for it. And just watch everything come together even more perfectly than you could imagine. Okay. So this week's theory is this. When we surrender to the divine, we have infinite protection and permission to receive that of the highest good for us and for all. I'm going to say that one again. When we surrender to the divine, we have infinite protection and permission to receive that of the highest good for us and for all. You might want to pause and think on that. I love you all so much, and I hope that listening to this episode just gave you the ability to do that. You know, just a few deep breaths, some relief. Be kind to yourself, be loving to all, and most of all, surrender. I shall see you next week. Okay, love you. Bye.